I'm Kara, aka Cool Fairy Creation, and today we're gonna be doing some still life drawing. Still life is something that I did get into for a couple of years, mainly due to the fact that all of my art classes were based in still life, kind of like in high school, you know, and all of those lovely classes. Which it's great, it has its place, and it does help teach drawing technique. Since then, I don't think I've picked up a pencil to do still life, and if I have, it's been on a very rare occasion. So, with that being said, we're gonna be making some still life today, and I'm gonna show you the type of paper I'm using, the type of pencils I'm using, the process step by step on all of that good stuff. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually cut our paper. So right now I'm working with this mixed media, very, very smooth paper. It does have a pretty good weight to it. It's 190 grams or 117 pounds. But I don't really want to work with something this big. So what I'm going to do is just take a piece out of it, which this one tears very nicely, thankfully. So we take a piece out of this. I have my handy dandy paper cutter, which I think I got from Walmart for like $40 or something. It was actually a pretty good price. Cuts pretty well. I don't have a link to it, but it's the, what is that? Daisuke? I don't know. Anyway, it's a paper cutter. And then I'm gonna do this just like a little over 6 inches, since that's what the paper is. So I just want to cut this in half. So there we go. Now I have 2 pieces that I can use for 2 different still lifes. All right, so what we're gonna be drawing today for our still life is this lovely Venus flytrap that I have. I collect carnivorous plants, so I have like a bunch of these, and I chose my smallest one just so it would be more manageable. I'm trying to do this pretty quickly, you know, not spend 3 hours on this still life. This is more of like a speed draw still life. And I'm really using some pared down basic kind of equipment. I have just a regular mechanical pencil, and then I have a big eraser in case I mess up horribly. Otherwise, I use the small eraser on the mechanical pencil. So this is not using really any technical equipment at all, just pencil, paper, and eraser. So to start off the still life drawing, I'm just doing the basic shapes that I see in front of me. So this bowl, this blue bowl, is obviously circular in shape, so that's the first thing that comes to mind that I want to make sure I allocate space for. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm doing a lot of like light, short strokes as I'm drawing these so that I don't have those bold lines. I don't think at the very first stage of this you want those bold lines, because this piece will be evolving and changing as I add in the certain aspects to it. So, you know, even though I don't go in with a full eraser and completely erase everything, you know, I still want to give myself some grace that everything we draw the first time is not going to be perfect. So that's why I use these small short lines to kind of just help get a shape to it, help get some definition of like where things will be, and then worry about those more specifics later on. You definitely could add in a few technical things to this where you have, you know, your pencil, you're measuring it. I have done that in the past and it's worked out well. Again, I'm not trying to spend a ton of time on this piece. I'm just doing it to practice. So I don't know. I just didn't go in with all of those techniques, but you totally could, and you'll probably end up erasing a lot less than I had to. But yeah, so at this point I have the definition of the bowl, I have the container. I actually, if you're wondering why I even have this bowl, Venus flytraps have to sit in water. So I know it's kind of hard to see from the camera, but at this angle, but there is water in there. I didn't want to like harm my plant too much. I've already taken it out of its natural environment for a little while, so I wanted to make it nice and comfy on my art desk here. I am going in now and actually trying to, you know, find the places I want to put my Venus flytrap traps or leaves or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, so working slowly, not trying to overly detail anything, but just placing and spacing things out as I need. I went ahead and zoomed in the video a little bit here so that you can see the specific traps that I'm drawing onto this plant. Again, I'm not making these overly detailed initially. I'm just trying to find the shape and then find the space that they may take up. Later on, I do go back and add in a little bit more detail to them. After I'm done laying the traps, I start to do more shading and getting just more definition on the containers, both the bowl and the like actual planter itself. For still life, there are tons of ways that you could do shading to define the form that we're working with. Here, I do a lot of solid shading and hatching, but you could definitely do whatever kind of shading that you find to fit your style. There's also stippling, there's feathering, there's bracelet shading. If you're using a medium that can do sgraffito, there's sgraffito. So there's lots of different options out there. Just try to find the one that is fitting your particular style for this piece. And for me, I'm just trying to get practice with this, so I wasn't really focused on shading. So that's why I mostly just did the solid shading form with some hatching and cross hatching. At this point, I've gone ahead and done some drop shadow. The darkest shadow is definitely under the bowl itself, with the light shadow on that right side of it. So it is kind of a irregular shape on the right side. So I tried to emulate that as best as I could, with the shadow understandably going off the page that I'm working on. But keeping that shadow true to its form underneath being the darkest is something that I do carry into this piece. Definitely the most taxing part of this was having to go back and erase all of my initial lines that I had made. specifically when working on the leaves or the traps of this Venus flytrap. Each one had basically like a line from either the bowl or the planter itself. So using my just mechanical eraser, because this would have been, these lines are too small for my big eraser, which thankfully these erasers on my mechanical one are totally good. Like they're not one to rip or leave behind a weird color. So these are nice. But yeah, having to erase every single leaf was probably the most taxing, but it does pay off. It makes it look a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. I also made the traps have more of a tooth to them, so you can see the jagged lines just creating that tooth that would naturally be on those traps. On the soil and container itself for the plant, I decided to do some smudging. I think this allowed it to give those shadows without being very harsh with the lines. Once I saw all the lines in the soil near the leaves, I thought that that looked a little too messy. So the smudging definitely helped kind of like balance out the need for that kind of like darker shading in that area. And then you can see as I'm trying to wrap this up, I am using a lot heavier lines to help just define the form of the planter, the bowl, the water that's inside. So a lot of things are becoming more permanent in those lines, which is totally fine. That's exactly what we want. After all of the sketching, all of the placement of, the shapes and everything, having the defined lines now can also help bring in some of that shading, but also just give it a nice form in addition to all the shading. So the option to leave a still life drawing just as it is in pencil with all that shading and nice line work that you've done is, completely fine. And I love this the way that it is. I did, however, go in with some lead colored pencils from Prismacolor. These are a lot lighter than colored pencils themselves. So they're not wax based. They are actually lead based, like a pencil would be. So those colors, or these colors, I should say, are not going to be as rich or as dark as regular colored pencils, which is perfect whenever you want to keep the essence of the line work that you just did with your regular pencil, right? So I'm not trying to cover up any of the lines. I'm not trying to create this like full new layer. Well, I guess I am creating a layer, but not something that would cover up the previous one. I'm trying to do a transparent layer here. And so that's why I really like these pencils. I actually did not know about them until recently. I did find them in the clearance at my local Michael's, and so it was like really nice. I love clearance. Always go to clearance in art shops or art stores. But anyway, they work very well for things like this, where you want to create that transparent layer while maintaining that layer below that you put all the hard work into and that you want to show through. As far as the colors go for this piece, I used ultramarine blue, peacock blue, lemon yellow, terracotta red, and apple green, as well as a dark brown. So those might sound like a lot of colors, but realistically, working in only those colors, it does allow me to see the light versus the shadow versus those dark spots, kind of making sure that I'm not putting in too much, detail with the second layer. I'm just trying to enhance what I've already done. And at last, we are done. So taking a look, you can again still see that first layer drawn with the pencil, you know, going with the shapes and the shading and the form and all of that good stuff. And then just letting the second layer with color enhance all of those qualities that we've already put in. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I enjoyed making it and sharing it with you all. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, any questions, any comments you have. I promise I will answer them. And I will see you all next time for more art. Happy creating, everyone!